Welcome to another video from McFatter Tech Musser. If you like these videos, please click subscribe. 70-741 Lab 12, Implementing High Performance Network Solutions. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about configuring NIC Teaming, quality of service, and network performance. And we'll also go over some of the ways that you can go about enabling RDMA, which is Remote Direct Memory Access, with SET, Switch Embedded Teaming. Okay, so let's jump into it. In our first exercise, we're going to be configuring NIC Teaming. Now, there's a number of different terms that you can use for this. It could be teaming, bonding, link aggregation. It depends on your technology. In Microsoft Server, we call it NIC Teaming. In our first exercise, we're going to configure NIC Teaming on LUN-SVR2. NIC Teaming, which I just stated, also called bonding, balancing, and aggregation, is a Windows feature that enables administrators to join multiple network adapters into a single entity for performance enhancement or fault tolerance purposes. Hyper-V virtual machines can also take advantage of NIC teaming, but they're limited to teams of 2. This is opposed to the host operating system, on which you can have teams of up to 64 NICs. So I've already gone ahead and logged into our SVR2, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select all servers, and on all servers we're going to right click LUN-SVR2, and you can see we can go right here and we can go directly to configure NIC teaming. Let's take a look if this will work, because we had done some special settings. We had disabled some of our network adapters in our network connection. So if they're disabled, you may not have the availability of creating that NIC team right off the bat. But let's see what we've got. Yeah, as you can see here, we've gotten no adapters. Well, we do see they're disabled. So before we do this, let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at this from a different perspective. I'm going to go up to local server. I'm going to click on my London network. You can do it here. This is about the easiest way, and here are our adapters that we had configured on this. So I'm going to right click on my London Network 2 adapter and say enable. Okay, now it should go ahead and grab an IP address from our DHCP server. Our other adapter, let's take a look at that. It has a static IP address. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into properties and I'm going to turn off that static IP address. Now take note, it has a .12 address on our Class C network. So I'm going to go back in when we're done and reset that. We'll click OK. So now both of these adapters are going to get DHCP addresses. We're going to go ahead and close. We're going to refresh our view. We should see both, and they are assigned DHCP. So we can also get into NIC teaming right here from local server. So remember, you can go to all servers, you can right click. This gives you the availability to do this management on remote servers, right? If you've got multiple servers listed here and those servers have the multiple NICs, you could do it from your Server Manager console to that remote server. Let's go back to local server. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on NIC teaming. Brings up that same interface. I'm going to make it a little bit larger so we can see everything here. So what we want to do is under Teams, we're going to click Tasks, New Team. We're going to simply call this Team 1. And we're going to pick our 2 London network adapters because they're on the same subnet, and we'll click OK. Now, before we do that though, we're going to click additional properties because there's some additional settings that you can do here. For my class, go ahead and you're going to answer your questions 1 and 2. Question 1 is, what's the default teaming mode? Well, what is it set by default when we opened up those additional properties. Teaming mode is switch independent. There you go. Question 1. Question 2. What is the default load balancing mode? Well, what does it say? That's correct. Address hash. There's your answer to question number 2. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click OK to create our team. Now we can see there's a warning. One of them immediately is active and it's bringing the second one in. It's still pending. If we go here and let's see, where can we do it here? Up here is it? Refresh all. We're waiting. It takes a little bit of time. Eventually this is going to be both active and we should eliminate all those warnings. And there we are. Took a few moments. Team 1, status OK. Adapters and interfaces. Team 1, London network, 10 gigabit per second. Remember, we're not using those legacy adapters. 10 gigabits per second active. London network 2, 10 gigabits per second active. So, class, take a screenshot, paste that into step number 9. We're going to go ahead and we're going to close our NIC Teaming. If we look here now, instead of the 2 adapters, it shows a team. I'm going to select that and I'm going to go ahead and show you in your network connection. See, they're enabled, yes, but this is where we're getting our IP address. If we look under details, see, it pulled a dynamic IP address. So we could go in and we could assign a static IP address to this NIC team. Takes a few moments. There it is. But just the same way as you can assign an IP address to a physical network adapter or our virtual network adapter, you can assign a static IP address to your NIC team. Take a look at the bandwidth. 20 gigabits per second. We've combined the available bandwidth for both of those adapters into one. We also have fault tolerance because if one cable or one adapter fails or a switch port fails, we maintain connectivity. I'm going to go out of network connections. I'm going to go back into our NIC teaming because we're actually done with our exercise. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to right click on team 1 and I'm going to say delete. Delete team, yes. We can see it still shows over here the team is gone. We just simply need to refresh. It'll happen on its own. This will come out. They'll be released back out. We're going to refresh on our local server. There we are. And as a final step, we're going to go ahead. We're going to disable that second adapter and we're going to reset that IP address. I know this is not part of our worksheet, but something that we need to do. Get it done while it's fresh in your mind. Don't put anything off. If you have an assignment, if you've got an exercise, if you've got something you need to accomplish, do it while you can. Okay. We should be good to go. It's just going to take a few moments for it to set. Refresh. Our first exercise is completed. In our second exercise, we're going to be configuring quality of service and network performance. We will first install Hyper-V in our SVR2, and then we're going to create a virtual machine called VM1. We'll enable quality of service for the disk as well as SRIVO, which is single root I/O virtualization. QoS is quality of service, and it's a collection of technologies that ensures high quality performance for critical applications. It measures network bandwidth, detects changing network connections such as congestion or availability of bandwidth, and then prioritizes or throttles network traffic as needed. Single root I/O virtualization, SR-IOV, allows a device such as a network adapter to distribute access to its resources among PCI Express hardware functions. We're going to begin by going to Windows PowerShell on our desktop, and we're going to actually install our Hyper-V from PowerShell. We're going to be using DISM to allow us to do that. Now we'll still go in and we're going to enable the management features once we're done. Let's just move this up just a little bit, make it a little bit easier to see. And DISM, we'll use the /online, the /enable feature, and then we have to specify the feature name. Remember, there cannot be any spaces in this, so it's Microsoft Hyper V, and we press enter. It's going to take a few moments for this to run. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to allow the video to proceed on. As you can see, it's installing pretty quickly. Now, we do have to restart our virtual machine, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. You'll notice I didn't even have to press enter. All I did was press the letter Y. It's going to take a few moments for it to finish installing the feature. So at this point, while it does finish the configuration, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. Oh, well, you know what? I think I'll just let it roll. It's already restarting. Should only take a few more moments for it to come up. I think we'll have one more restart. Remember, you're always welcome to skip ahead. There we are. So here again, this could be a server with Hyper-V installed, but that doesn't necessarily mean you manage it from this machine. That's one reason why you might not install the management tools. You may install the management tools on a different server. If this was on our domain and my Windows 10 machine is what I use to manage, I could right click and I could say connect to server and connect to my machine. Well, this is not on domain, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to manage, add roles and features, and we're just going to scroll through and we're going to add that remote server administration tool. We're going to go ahead and we're going to expand our role administration tools, and right there's Hyper-V management tools. I'm going to go ahead and select that and click next and install. Here again, should only take a few moments. While it does though, I'm going to pause the video. And just like that, we're back. We can go ahead and we can close. And what we're going to do is I'm going to have, now that we've got those management tools installed, I'm going to go into Hyper-V Manager. I'd like my students to go ahead and take a screenshot of the Hyper-V Manager and paste that into step number 12. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new virtual switch. And it's going to be an external, so we're going to say create virtual switch, and we're going to simply allow it to stay named new virtual switch, and we'll click OK. We may have disruptions. We understand that because it is connecting to our external adapter. We click yes. Okay, let's go ahead. We're going to select new virtual machine. Click next. We're going to name that virtual machine VM1. Now, I'd like my students to go ahead and answer their third question. What is the default storage location for the virtual machine? And it's this way on any Hyper-V installation if you've not specified alternative storage. Take a look in the screen there, and it's kind of grayed out, but you can see it. go ahead and type that C:\\/ in the path, full path, into your question number 3. There's your answer. All right, so we're going to move on. Pause the video if you didn't get that, but we're moving on. We click next. On our generation, we're going to simply leave it be a generation 1. We're going to enable dynamic memory. We won't be using this virtual machine, it's just for our test lab. Next, we're going to connect to that one switch that we specified. Click next. We're going to create a new disk, and we'll say it can be 60 gigabytes. We'll click next. We're not even going to use this, so we're going to say install an operating system later. We click next. Here again, we're on our summary screen. Students, please go ahead and take a screenshot and paste this into step number 29. Okay, now that you've got that screenshot, we're going to click finish. Sets up that configuration file. And now we want to go ahead, we're going to right click and we're going to go to settings. And we're going to expand the little plus beside the hard drive and select quality of service. You can see we can enable quality of service management. So we're going to put that check mark there. Remember, if you don't understand what IOPS is, I encourage you to do some research and understand what it can do for you. You can specify a minimum and a maximum. Students, take another screenshot, paste that into step number 34. We're going to go ahead and we're going to expand the little plus beside our network adapter and select hardware acceleration. In here, we can see that enable virtual machine queue is already enabled, as well as enable IPsec task offloading. Understand that IPsec task offloading can be specified a range anywhere from a value of 1 to 4096. Notice at the bottom here, single root IO virtualization. We're going to go ahead and we're going to enable SR IOV. We'll set that minimum IOPS and maximum IOPS on our quality of service to 1. And we'll click apply. You'll notice that anywhere we made a change is highlighted in bold blue. So you'll notice that we made multiple changes. We did not have to click apply. It will apply all those changes at one shot, and there we are. If we would, students, please take another screenshot, paste that into step number 38. And with that, we're done. Let's talk about enabling RDMA and SET. That's remote direct memory access with switch embedded teaming. A converged network. It allows for different types of communication within a single network, such as storage, video, data communication. You can form a converged network by combining SET with RDMA, and this allows you to utilize fewer network adapters in your servers. Let's take a look at it here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start PowerShell as admin. And we're going to be using the tab complete feature. So let's see if we can do this. Install Windows feature is what we want. We're going to tab. We're going to let it tab complete. There we are. And what we want to install is Data Center. Let's see if it understands what we're trying to do. It's thinking about it. Maybe not. We're going to type it in. Okay, so that is the command that you would enter to install Data Center Bridging. I'm not going to actually install it. Next, your next step, that is to actually create a set team. And you're going to do that by creating a Hyper-V virtual switch with the new -VM switch Windows PowerShell command. And you will also include the enable embedded teaming parameter within that syntax. Let's say we wanted to create a new virtual switch named Team2Switch. Here's a command that we could use for that. new dash VM switch, space dash name, specify the name Team 2 switch, or whatever you designate, another space, dash net adapter name, and this is where you specify the name of the adapters that you're going to include in that switch, NIC 1, NIC 2, for example. And then you also provide the syntax of dash enable embedded teaming with a space $true to turn it on. Once you've done that, the next thing is to add your host virtual NICs and make them RDMA capable. And you do that using a command such as follows: add dash VM network adapter, a space, dash switch name. We're going to include this in Team 2 switch. The name is, in this case, we're going to use SMB_1, and we're going to also specify the dash management OS. So we could hit enter on this, and then let's say we also have an adapter named SMB2 that would add the second adapter to that switch. The final command that we would need to run is to enable the RDMA, and we would in turn do that by running a command such as this: enable-net adapter RDMA, and then you're specifying the name of the virtual adapters that you're enabling it on. Remember, in my previous two add-VM network adapter command lines, SMB_1 and SMB_2 were the name of those adapters. Well, we specify vEthernet, the name, vEthernet, additional name of all the adapters that you want to enable that RDMA on. It's as simple as that. It may sound simple, maybe it's not for your environment. I hope you enjoyed this lab where we talked about NIC teaming, bonding, link aggregation, however your technology terms it, as well as configuring the quality of service and SR-IOV, and then taking a look at how we can go ahead and we can utilize RDMA with SET, switch embedded teaming. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel, and as I always say, I'll see you in the next lab or lesson.